Welcome to the Healthy Hustling Podcast. I have an excellent episode today. We're going to be talking about functional nutrition. So, if this is a topic that has interested you, we're going to be talking about stress and hormones, gut health, and how that all relates based on what you are putting into your mouth and swallowing, and therefore putting it into your body. So, I have today with me Treva Jungbluth and Dr. Margaret O'Neill. Dr. Margaret O'Neill is a physical therapist. She is currently in California, and Treva is a functional nutrition coach and has been doing nutrition coaching as well as personal training. So, Treva, I guess tell everyone a little bit about your background. Where did you get your education? And how did you get into this space?
Yeah, so I have an NBHWC certification for health and wellness coaching. And then I'm also trained through my company that I work with, which is Vital Coaching. And so we do continual education on a weekly basis just because health is constantly changing. So it's very, very nice for us health coaches to stay on top of the latest health topics and things like that. And then also a certified personal trainer through NASM there. So yeah, a couple of certifications.
Awesome. And Margaret, you've been on a few times now, but remind everyone what's your background and education and everything like that.
Yeah, so I went to Aquinas College in Grand Rapids, Michigan for my undergrad in athletic training. So I'm a certified and licensed athletic trainer. And then for PT school, I went to the University of Michigan. And yeah, I've been working as a travel PT since.
Nice. Awesome. So let's get into functional nutrition a bit. And I think that this is such a interesting space. I think that more and more people are finding out about it, yet it's still relatively unknown. So what would you say, Treva, what is functional nutrition?
Yeah, so functional nutrition is a holistic way of looking at health, right? So you're going into the root causes of disease and weight loss resistance, weight gain, things like that. You're not just putting a medication on it. You're not just going to the doctor saying, hey, I had this symptom, and then you're walking out with another medication. It's more about getting to why this is happening and more about preventing your body from getting worse and optimization rather than waiting until the person gets more and more and more sick, getting more medications, things like that. So, as a whole, you're looking at the body not just separately as, okay, this is just gut health, or this is just a thyroid issue, or this is just Hashimoto's. You're looking how everything talks to each other, your gut, your adrenals, your hormones, your thyroid metabolism, everything talks to each other. So, we look at the body as a whole and treat the whole body in itself.
So how is this different really from, say, dietetics or traditional nutrition, say a registered dietitian or a nutritionist? How does it all differ?
Yeah, so nutrition and nutritionists, they usually look at a lot of those macros and micronutrients, things like vitamins, minerals, and that more broadband nutrition advice is like what can I eat? What can I put in my body? Things like that. Whereas again, looking at the body as a whole, we are getting more towards the treatment of okay, things like when your adrenals come into play, which is more of like stress and things like that. We are looking at your genetics, your environment, your lifestyle, getting the body and supplements to heal your body faster when we live in a world that is so, so toxic, and detoxification is a huge thing that we do as well. But also when it comes to nutrition, more so than just macros and vitamins and nutrients, but also diet variation, which is a huge thing about what we do. Whenever someone tries a diet, it usually works for a period of time. They're like, okay, I'm losing weight. But then a lot of times what you'll see happen is they start to plateau, or that diet that they used to do doesn't work anymore. So diet variation and basically like deferring macros, different foods, things like that on either a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis really keeps the body and metabolism going long term.
Yeah, I love it. From a physical therapy standpoint, I would say that I like to look at the body as a whole. So I like to take all of these things into consideration because it does affect overall healing. And so, we work with individuals with everything from knee pain to back pain, being in general outpatient orthopedics, but um, gut health obviously is just one topic that can affect so many things, and it can throw off your hormones. It's going to cause brain fog. It's going to cause all of these issues, which then can have, though, uh, a relation to the musculoskeletal system, cause joint pain and other injuries, and play a bit of a role there with regards to pain. Margaret, do you have any, I guess, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that I think the touching on the variation is so important because that's even true in physical therapy and exercise. Like, you want to do the basics well, and you're always going to have some go-to things that you're going to do in your workout or with your physical therapist, but you can't do the same thing always and expect it to make a difference always.
Yeah. Yeah, eventually you plateau, right? And
Yeah.
there's kind of diminishing returns. You just don't go any further. So,
Yeah.
um Trevor, I guess do you work with when it comes to functional, nutrition, do you work with a certain subset of people like weight loss primarily, women's health, perimenopause, menopause, like what would you say do you specialize in anything in particular with regards to that?
Yeah, so my really big specialty is gut because that's exactly what I came into when I was working through my health issues, what was gut and hormones and also autoimmune disease. So those are my big aspects that I work with, and then also acne and skin issues, things like that. But as a team, as Vital Coaching, every coach has their certain specialties. And the great thing about Vital Coaching too is we do have an entire team that we can put our heads together. Say if our one of our clients does have another specific issue, we can always put our heads together. But for me, I really specialize in gut, women's hormones, and autoimmune disease. And of course, all of that does tie into your metabolism and weight loss and things like that too.
Yeah. What made you want to get into it?
Yeah, so I suffered for several years, 5 years with severe SIBO. And of course, I went to several doctors that would put me on antibiotics, which over time that just got worse and worse and worse, and it just never got better. That was a big reason why I found health coaching in the first place. But I also, my entire life, had suffered with an autoimmune disease. It's called eosinophilic esophagitis. So it's where like it's a very painful disease of the esophagus, and that's something that I just dealt with every day of my life, weekly basis. I would have flares of it. And doctors always told me that there was no cure for it. And so when I went into functional medicine with my own health coach, I healed my SIBO and then we found hormonal disorders and then we worked my autoimmune disease and it changed my life completely. When I healed my gut and got rid of my SIBO completely, I noticed, oh my gosh, my hair is growing back. I have a ton of energy again. My allergies, my food allergies were going away. I would break out in hives that I didn't know was just not, it was just normal for me. And I didn't realize how good I could feel until I went with a health coach and then again put my autoimmune disease completely in remission now for over 5 years, which is just something I never thought was possible. So that completely changed my trajectory and where I was going in my career. And I was like, I have to help other people heal their gut, heal their life, get their life back and things like that. So that's why I really got into it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is SIBO for those who don't know?
SIBO is basically bacterial overgrowth, whether it be in the large intestine, the small intestine, things like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, but it can be in anywhere in your intestines, in your gut, things like that. So it's basically bacterial overgrowth, which usually gives you the signs and symptoms of whether it be stool changes, diarrhea, constipation, extreme bloating, where I was looking, my belly was so big, it was like I looked pregnant, but I wasn't pregnant, where you have that extreme bloating, acid reflux, all those gut signs and symptoms.
What so how do you test for that? Like how do you diagnose and test for that?
Mhm. Yeah, so we have specific stool testing. We have a couple different versions of them where you do stool tests and it gives us as a health coach different aspects of the gut, whether it be good, high or low good bacteria, high or low bad bacteria, your gut lining integrity, which is huge for your immune system and just your overall ability to heal and keep bacteria away, things like that. And also like digestive capacity, so digestive enzymes, which actually help you digest your food, where gas comes into play, acid reflux, and your body's ability to absorb vitamins and nutrients from your food and things like that. So testing is definitely something that we do.
Nice. That's awesome. So I did not know that. So that's something new that I learned here today. So obviously stress can play a bit of a role. How much of a role does stress play? Like, everyone's talking about stress. How do you typically measure stress? And what do you see in the people that you're working with?
Yeah, stress. We always say stress and sleep are like the core basics of what we work with our clients. It's kind of like if you're looking at a triangle, like at your base, you have to have a stable base, and that's your sleep and your stress. A lot of other things will have a hard time leveling out, whether it be your body's ability to lose weight or heal your gut or heal your autoimmune disease if your stress is high and your sleep is terrible. Those are like core basics that we always like to remind our clients of. And with stress, we just live in such a stressful society, and we always like to kind of describe it as a stress bucket. And our stress bucket involves, of course, like our sleep, and then our environmental stress, our physical stress, emotional stress, family stress, things like that. But then there's also stressors inside your body that we call those hidden stressors, like gut issues. That's a big stressor on your body if you have bacterial imbalances, if your hormones are dysregulated. That's also another stress. So if your bucket is always constantly full from gut issues, hormone issues, poor sleep, you don't have a lot of room for that bucket to stop overflowing when you add emotional stress, work stress, family stress. So if your bucket's always overflowing, you experience a lot of those signs and symptoms. So not only is it just calming the stress down, just because we live in such a stressful environment, social media, the news, we're just constantly inundated with it on a daily basis, every single second of our day. So it's becoming more aware of that. And that's what we explain to our clients. Like the first step to healing and getting rid of or lowering your stress is just acknowledging it and being aware that it's there in the first place, because we're on autopilot. I know that was me when I first started my healing journey. I was like, I'm not stressed. And then when I started like realizing and noticing throughout the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am really stressed. My shoulders are tense, my jaw's tense, I'm shallow breathing. I'm stressed all day and I didn't even realize it. So it's just becoming aware first, and that's how you can take those steps to, okay, let's get more time in nature. Let's go outside a little bit more. Let's detox from social media for a little bit, or turn off the news a little bit more throughout the week. Things like that that we always like to remind our clients about. But the stress is just so huge, and it's one thing that is a big, big core piece of healing for us.
And how
Um,
do you like help patients change their mindset to stress as well? Because you do need it a little bit. Like if you want to grow a muscle, you have to stress it. So how do you help your patients get to that aspect?
Yep. So stress is good, and it's just like the amount of it. So when you work out, working out is a stressor on the body. Cortisol is your stressor hormone. So when you work out, you need cortisol, you need that stress hormone to increase in order to be able to give you energy to work out and things like that. But we want that stress to come down in periods throughout the day. Instead of staying high stress all day, we want those periods to come and go. So we look at stress where, okay, a lot of my clients come in with they're overstressed. So it's like, okay, let's lower some of those stressors, but then not have a negative outlook on stress, because, okay, yeah, stress gives us energy. Our cortisol gives us energy to work out, to get us through events, to get us through work presentations and things like that. But then it's our job to be like, okay, that stressful event is over. Now it's time to calm down and get into more of the de-stressing as well. We have stress, we just need to get more de-stressing moments to make those stressful moments okay.
Yeah.
how much sleep are you typically recommending for people?
Yes, so women actually need a little bit more sleep than men. So that recommended of like 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Women on like an up when we're looking optimally need about that 8 to 9 hours of sleep. But then also when you're looking at sleep, when you have an Aura ring or a Whoop band or an Apple Watch that does track your sleep, that's very useful to track into how much deep sleep and REM sleep that you're actually getting. So it's not just how much sleep that you're getting, but the quality of that sleep. And we like to shoot for, again, optimally around 2 hours of REM and 2 hours of deep sleep. Of course, women, our hormones fluctuate throughout the month. So certain times of the month, we don't normally hit those throughout certain parts of the month. And then other parts of the month, we can hit those a little bit easier. But it's the quality of sleep plus those 8 to 9 hours of sleep if you can. But again, there's periods of time where we go through a period of stress. We work a little bit more, and then it's like, okay, coming back to I need to have a period of time where I sleep a little bit more and things like that too.
Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to sleep. I really think that sleep is a pillar of health, really, that is often overlooked and really isn't talked about at all when it comes to physical therapy and injuries. Like, I don't hear anyone talking about it. And the reality is, certain studies are showing that there is a 70% greater likelihood of injury if you're sleeping less than 7 hours of sleep uh, for a 2 week or more period. So that's very interesting to me. I know I've had several injuries over the past few years, and I think it is due to I think that sleep and recovery play a major role into why those injuries happened. Your body's just not uh, able to function optimally as far as like the hydrate circulation and hydration into our tissues and everything like that all gets affected by sleep. Sleep is when our body repairs and itself. And if you are not getting enough, you are at a higher likelihood of injury. So if you're listening to this and you're getting under 7 hours, and by the way, that is 7 hours that you are uh, like you're in bed 8 hours and you're getting likely seven is a typical general rule of thumb. Would you say the same thing, Treva, as far as that goes?
Yeah, falling asleep and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you typically wake up a little spurts throughout the night and everything. So if you want to get seven, you really need to be in bed at 8. I actually had a argument with my dad because he's like, "Oh, I'm getting enough sleep," and I'm like, "When'd you go to bed?" This time he's like, "I'm gonna wake up at 5 and go work out," and I'm like, "Then you need to be going to bed by like 8 p.m. if you're gonna get up and work out at 5 a.m. I think that's fine to work out in the morning. I think it's great too, but also make sure that you're getting enough sleep because otherwise that's how you get these injuries. Or that they can contribute. I shouldn't say that's the sole reason, but it can definitely put you at a greater likelihood and risk. Margaret, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's one of the easiest things to like, at least in PT, and I'm sure Trevor, you think the same thing, to help get like the first step of, okay, let's get your sleep under control. But I think it also involves your whole like bedtime routine. I think it's such a common thing to like be in bed and just scroll. And then you're getting all the blue light, your cells aren't falling asleep, you're not going to fall asleep. And then even if you do, it's likely not a deep sleep. So that's one of the first things that I did for myself. And then for people too, I'll say, put the phone away. Like you gotta, or at
I
least wear
can't take
like
it in the
black
room.
glasses.
I can't take it in the room with me because
Yeah,
it is so addicting. You're like, you make an excuse for yourself. You're like, well, I'll put on the charger and I won't look at it. But then it's like, well, I'm just gonna look at it for like 5, 10 minutes. And then honestly, that can turn into easily 20, 30, like,
yeah,
and then you just, yeah, gave yourself all this blue light. You're screwing up your circadian rhythm and your ability to fall asleep. Um, I finally said, and this was after like, I've been talking about this for a while, yet it was one of those things of like, I can do it. I can have a strong enough willpower, but the reality is we can't. Like
yeah.
these things are meant to be addicting for a reason. So just acknowledge that and accept it. And so what I do is I charge mine in the kitchen. It's not allowed in the bedroom. And then I use a traditional alarm clock, like battery powered alarm clock.
Mhm.
Uh, that's my alarm. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts there, Treva? Is it necessary to go that hardcore and not allow your phone in the room?
No, I recommend that to clients too, because it's hard to fight your own brain that's so addicted to it. And it's just like a natural response. It's like you don't even think about it. You just reach over and grab your phone without even thinking at this point. So it's like you have to create those barriers where it's like, nope, it's in a different room so that you don't have that option to even do it. It's like you have to create those things to fight your own brain that's so wired to it. And then like same thing circadian rhythm and sleep is just so underrated. And sunshine, actually have like my blue light blocker glasses that I normally wear at night here. But
You can put them on. I won't judge you. My wife has dark, like
yes,
red glasses right now. So they're
That's what
like
mine are
dark
too, are
red.
the dark red.
Yeah.
I have a
So
red hue on my screen right now. Yes, I'm all
Yeah.
so
into that.
yeah,
Yeah.
feel free to. You're not gonna. I'm not judging. I think it's great. I should have a pair, but I don't. My wife has some right now. So
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead. Continue with what you were saying.
So yeah, the circadian rhythm is just so underrated and how sunshine is just so impactful on our daily circadian rhythm, like how that morning sunshine that you get when you first wake up and you step outside and that yellow blue hue of that morning sunrise, that actually sets your circadian rhythm timer for your melatonin to start that night. So if you're not getting even that morning sunshine, that will not trigger as much of that melatonin at night. And then like they say, the blue light you need like a solid 2 hours away from that blue light and your phone and TV and things like that for that melatonin to really kick in for deep sleep and REM sleep and things like that. So it's sunshine is just as important as like your sleep and things like that.
Yeah, if any of you listen to Huberman Lab, he is very big on morning sunshine, morning sunlight, getting that into your eyes. And I actually would take when my daughter was born. I don't even know if there's anything necessarily about this, but like, so when she was born, I would take her out first 10 minutes of every morning and I would just be out in the sunlight with her to try and help get a little bit of that like kick started, even though the body can't produce melatonin for the first like 12 weeks. But I do think it helped. Like it definitely can't hurt and it's good for me at least. So and everyone should do it. But she's always been a good sleeper, knock on wood. I don't know if that played a role or not, but maybe it did. But yeah, I think everyone should be doing that as well. It's hard to do though. It really is. You have
Yep.
to be meaningful about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say then, as far as like talking about stress, what are the top three things that people should focus on to lower stress? And also, what are indicators that people might have too much stress?
Mm. Yeah. So top three things I would say to lower stress is getting outside, nature, fresh air, sunshine, like taking a break from your work, whether it be okay, like, okay, I'm just going to take a 5 minute break, step outside, just to go outside, just to decompress. Breathing is one of the most underrated things to lower your stress levels. Even and Huberman Lab talks about this. I know he talks about that box breathing and then also just one deep inhale and how much that actually decreases cortisol in our bodies. So even if you're just taking a couple breaths throughout the day, that works wonders compared to when you're not doing it at all. So breathing and then also sleep is just a big, massive de-stressor. So like I always say, my clients, the ones that have kids that it's hard to change their lifestyle, they're running around, they're taking them to school. Okay, your life during the day is super crazy. Get those breaths in when you can, get outside when you can for a couple minutes. But the sleep, okay, let's focus on sleep because everyone does sleep. Let's really focus on getting that deep sleep. So those are like the top three. And then the signs that your stress is probably too high is like when you're either tired throughout the day, you feel like you need naps, you're crashing midday, you wake up feeling sluggish. And then also like that wired and tired is also another sign of that stressor where you're laying in bed and you have that busy brain, you can't shut your brain off, things like that, or you're wired and tired throughout the day, your brain is busy, your body's busy, things like that. Are all signs that your stress levels are either way too high or they've been so high for a period of time where they've eventually just crashed out.
Interesting. Margaret, do you have anything to add to that? Any thoughts there?
I mean, I think it's it can be hard I know like for myself, looking at my own situation, I think Trevor, you had talked about this too. I was like, oh, I'm not stressed at all. Like you just you get so used to it that it becomes normal for you. And then you might look at like another person's situation, you're like, oh, I can tell that they're stressed, but you can't see it in yourself. And so I think trying always to check in with yourself and reiterate, like look at the basics of, okay, am I sleeping well? Am I eating well? And things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
under eating is a big stressor. So, like, if you're not eating enough throughout the day or going very long periods without eating, and some people do. A lot of my clients come to me and they're like, I'll forget breakfast and I won't eat until 2 o'clock, or they'll eat breakfast and then, oh, I forgot to eat, and now it's already 4 o'clock p.m. and it's been 7, 8 hours. That's a big stressor on the body, another hidden stressor that we don't technically look at as, oh my gosh, that's stressful, but it's actually a very, very big stressor on the body is under eating throughout the day.
What if someone's intermittent fasting though, or fasting in general?
Yeah, so that is also looking at stress in a good way. So when a client comes in and their body's stressed, so again, their body has to be in a point where they can handle intermittent fasting as a stressor. So if your body is very, very stressed, you're experiencing a lot of those signs and symptoms, fasting at that moment is probably not a good idea. It's only going to stress your body out more. So what we do is we handle a little bit more of that stress. We feed the body for a period of time to get that body out of a de-stressed state. Then, when the body is in that not a stress state or out of that de-stress state, that's when we can add that intermittent fasting and make sure that the body isn't being too stressed out. But that is comes in a time and place where, okay, if your body, your lifestyle is very, very stressful, intermittent fasting isn't good at that time. And then when it becomes less stressful, intermittent fasting you can do.
Okay. And
Mhm.
how does this then relate to, say, gut health and hormones, right? So, um, obviously you're big on gut health. That's something you're passionate about that you've said. Um, what is gut health so people know?
Yeah, gut health is okay. When I talk about poop a lot, and like your poop can tell you a big story of how your digestive system is working, how your body is working. Are you constipated? We got to make sure that you're pooping every day. That is a huge, huge detoxification agent. It's making sure you're clearing out bacteria from your gut, things like that. So, um, how are your stools, and then also with gut health too, it's like, are you bloated? How are you digesting your food? We always say, okay, you are what you eat, but also what you absorb. If you're eating food and things like that but your digestion is messed up, you have bacterial imbalances, you're not absorbing the bacteria or the vitamins and minerals from your food. So that also goes into gut health as well. But gut health is also goes into a lot of other things in your health. Your gut health is the good bacteria balance compared to the bad bacteria imbalance. We always have a little bit of bad bacteria in there, but do we have enough good bacteria to balance out that bad bacteria and make sure we don't have an overgrowth of either good bacteria or bad bacteria? Because overgrowing good bacteria can have the same signs and symptoms of overgrown bad bacteria. Digestive enzymes, again, are we able to digest our food? And then also our immune system is in our gut. 70 to 80% of our immune system and cells are in our gut. So if your gut is imbalanced, your immune system is either going to be overactive, where you're overreacting to foods, allergies, things like that, or underreactive, you get sick a lot, disease, things like that as well. So there's two kind of components to your immune system, whether it's too high or low, and that all comes back down to the gut. Gut health also relates to your skin, acne. Your acne on your face and rosacea, eczema comes back to gut health. That'll tell you a big sign that your gut's imbalanced. And also hormones are filtered throughout your gut. So gut health is so much more than just what people think of. Is my digestion okay? Am I pooping okay? So it goes into all those things.
Interesting. I did not know that 70 to 80% of your immune system was in the gut. So, um, do you feel like then that poor gut health contributes to autoimmune issues? And how often are people, if so, how often are people with autoimmune issues actually educated enough on their gut and what they're putting into their body?
Yeah, I would say because 70% of your 70-80% of your immune system is in your gut. I would say most people that do come to me, they think when they do have an autoimmune disorder, it doesn't, they have no idea that it actually comes back to the gut. So whenever someone does come in with an autoimmune disorder, we start with the gut. That's the very, very first thing. Because if we work other systems and we try to work your immune system without working the gut, it's always going to revert back. You're always going to have issues. We have to fix the gut, bacteria, things like that first. But when your immune system is in your gut, we're really, really talking about the gut lining as well. When the gut lining is compromised, that means toxins, bacteria, food particles that you ingest are actually leaking right into your bloodstream because you have cracks and holes in your gut lining. So it's not being filtered, it's actually leaking into your body and into your bloodstream. And that's when your body becomes overreactive because, again, all these chemicals, bacteria, foreign things are in your blood. So then you're reacting to foods. You have dairy sensitivities. You are reacting to foods that should be healthy, things like that. And that's when your immune system flares. You might become puffy. Your body might not react to when you work out. You're not able to build muscle as much because your immune system is flaring, things like that. Or you're not able to lose fat. All of those things come back down to the gut. But most people, when they come in with like autoimmune diseases, their doctor doesn't normally talk about gut health or food or nutrition or lifestyle or anything like that.
And I feel like they also don't, I would say on average, most people who have been given a diagnosis of an autoimmune condition, they think that they're going to have it forever and that it's like unhealable. There's nothing that they can do.
I would say that's the general consensus, to be
Yeah.
honest. That's what I think of, like someone with RA, right? It's like, oh, you're going to be on these meds for the rest of your life. Hashimoto's, thyroid issues, all of those things. What have, I guess, both of you seen with autoimmune issues? Have you seen these things turn around like completely, or is it just like a percentage wise, would you say, when focusing on gut health?
I would say because mine has been in complete remission for over 5 years, and most of my clients that do go through the gut health, it comes in steps and stages where we detox the body. Then we do the 5 hour gut protocol, which is again healing the gut, getting good bacteria in there, bad bacteria out, healing the gut lining, and then working hormones because hormone imbalances also can flare your immune system and weight loss, things like that. So healing all of those things, that's what really, really goes hand in hand with healing your autoimmune disorder long term. Whereas, like you said, you go to doctors nowadays and you come in with an autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis, things like that, and they're like, oh, okay, it's not curable. Here's this medicine, things like that. Where working the body as a whole, you can calm your immune system so that you don't flare things. And of course, sometimes every now and then, say you have a very massive stressful event, a death in the family, moving, things like that, that might increase stress enough where you might have another flare, but then you're able to calm it down very, very quickly once that stress goes away and things like that. But once you heal the gut, your hormones, adrenals, things like that, it's very, very rare that you'll have those flares, things like that as well, and just calming that immune system.
Interesting. Yeah, Margaret, anything to add there?
I would say I'm also proof of that. I wasn't officially diagnosed with Hashimoto's, but had like all the biomarkers for it. And yeah, I would say now that's no longer the case.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and so many people just think like, oh, well, I just got to take these meds and that's that. And how long does it take to turn those things around? Like, what's a timeline? A lot of people are right impatient with it, right? And it's like, well, I've been trying it a month. Is a month long enough?
Yeah, no, definitely not long enough for a month. Yeah, and that's again like what people again when you go to a doctor, they put you on a medication. It's like usually those medications work, but then they have a ton of other side effects, and then you have those side effects, and you need to go on another medication. So medicines usually work a lot faster, and it's like one of those quick fixes, but it gives you a whole host of other symptoms and things like that. But when we're working the body as a whole and starting from the step one, groundwork, we need to break the body down. We need to get the immune system healed, work the gut, detox your body, work hormones. We usually say that our usually packages start with 6 months because that's like the minimum that we will even start to like see that healing. Just because when we're talking about autoimmune disorders, there has been years and years and years of damage, that has been done to the body. And it's going to take several months to heal those years and years and years of damage done to your body through, again, just the non-organic food that we're eating, the toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis. It's just years of that built up. And so 6 months is usually the minimum that my clients stick with. And then usually, again, a lot of my clients stay with me for about a year, sometimes longer, to fully heal. And then again, if they want to get more into the body composition and things like that, it's a little bit longer, but healing does take a little bit of time, but it's the investment. And that's what I always like to remind my clients of too. It's like, okay, you're going to invest in your health sometime in your life, and it's either now where we're optimizing your body, we're getting to the root cause, or you're going to invest in your health later when you actually have a disease. You need to invest in hospitals and things like that. So it's like one at one point or the other, you're going to pay for your health. It's just how do you want to pay for it?
Where they give you a bunch of muffins and pop and things like that in the hospital. Yeah. Margaret, how long did it take you to turn around your Hashimoto's?
Uh, Honestly, well, probably like 4 years. Yeah, it took a long time. I mean, so I had disordered eating, which is what led to it all. But it took a really long time, and there were several points in that journey where I was like, this isn't working. I want to quit. Not necessarily quit, but it was just like, I mean, I was investing a lot of money and stuff like that in functional health coaching, not in like traditional medicine. But that's because I knew that I wanted to heal and I knew that I could. I knew that my body had the ability to do it. But yeah, it took a long time, but it's totally worth it. I'm so happy that I did.
The yeah, the body really is an incredible th thing in
Yeah.
terms of you got to provide it the right environment. And if you
Mhm.
don't provide it the right environment,
Mhm.
it's not going to heal. Yeah, I was gonna guess months. I figured even years. Like,
Yeah.
Yep, years.
it's not
Yeah.
going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 3 weeks. You might notice some like really big changes, I would say, in probably like sleep and energy. Some of those things you can, some symptoms you can get turned around, but to turn the whole thing around, it's an investment and it takes a lot of dedication and time. But if you're tired of feeling like crap, then I think you can do it. What how is the gut related to the brain and body? So like the gut brain axis, do you want to hit on that a little bit?
Yeah, so when it comes to the gut and healing, we always come back to the brain and your mindset and your stress. Whenever, again, like your brain encounters the stress, and that's your vagus nerve, and your vagus nerve talks to your gut and those neurons and things like that. So when it comes to that mind gut access, whenever you have, and I'm trying to explain this as a way, like whenever you have an emotion, whenever your brain encounters stress of sadness or anger, your face will show it. Your face will show anger. You'll cry when you're sad. Your face shows emotional stress, but your gut is one of those things that also will show it, but you don't see it. Your vagus nerve will encounter those emotions, that stress, and it will signal to your gut to speed up or to slow down constipation, diarrhea, and signal to your gut to stop producing digestive enzymes, which help digest your food. And in those cases, then bacteria becomes overgrown and imbalanced, things like that, or your gut lining breaks down because of that message from your brain to your gut. So again, whenever we're working gut, we always stress that aspect of getting your stress under control, getting your mindset under control, things like that, because your brain is so powerful in telling your body to heal in terms of especially like your gut health.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely there. It's a two-way street, and it's crazy how much, sugar can influence things. And you have these sensors on your tongue, along your intestinal tract, and then also in your gut that react to sugar. And so that's why it just can be so addicting, and you get all these cravings and everything like that. How kind of going into a little bit more of hormones now. Obviously, there's a difference between male and female bodies. And then you kind of touched on cycle syncing a little bit earlier. What what would you say is the main difference between male and female bodies? Obviously, everyone's heard of testosterone and estrogen. I think there's more to it than just that. Um, and then cycle syncing. What is that? Do you believe in it? I've heard I am not an expert in that at all, and I've heard a lot of back and forth on social media, we'll say.
Yes. So difference between males and females, the biggest thing is again, like you mentioned, the testosterone. Men have more testosterone, and then women do have more of that estrogen. But males' hormones, they're very steady. They're very steady throughout the month. They do not change. You pretty much feel the same throughout the month. Whereas women's bodies and hormones, they fluctuate a lot, not just once, not just twice, they fluctuate a lot throughout the month. So in terms of mood. Our mood will go up and down. Our energy will go up and down. Our body's ability to heal will go up and down. And then when it comes to testosterone, of course, like testosterone helps with sleep and energy and libido and your body's ability to build muscle. And then estrogen, which women are more dominant in, and which is why autoimmunity is more prevalent in women. It's actually 80% women that get autoimmune diseases, and it's that estrogen that we have that makes us more sensitive to things, and even less resistant to stress when we have a little bit higher estrogen. So with women, because we have that higher estrogen during those fluctuation times, we need more downtime. We need more resting. We need to train a little bit differently. And that's where cycle syncing comes in. So I don't know if you've probably seen a lot of like reels on women's hormones where the male is very steady and then the woman is up and down and dead and alive and all those things. It's very
Yeah.
real.
Uh,
It's very real.
I I would say the biggest thing I saw on social media, I don't know, ESPN put a thing out about cycle syncing, and then bunch of social media people were just like bashing it, saying, I don't know. So I feel like it's a very controversial topic potentially.
Yeah, yeah. So that estrogen fluctuation really, really goes into play because that will mess with a woman's sleep, which is then a body's ability to repair and things like that. And in the first half of the cycle, so kind of go over it in terms of like nutrition and training and things like that. The first half of the cycle, the estrogen is a little bit lower. The body is more resistant to stress, and the body can handle actually more carbohydrates during that first half of the cycle so we can train a little bit harder, not during our bleed. Our bleed is very low hormones in general, but the overall general first half of our cycle we can train a little bit harder, especially around ovulation, which is when our actual testosterone is actually a little bit higher as well. We can recover better with higher testosterone. We have a better ability to produce muscle during that ovulation time. So ovulation is a great time to push a little bit harder in the gym. But that second half of the cycle, estrogen rises a little bit more again, progesterone rises, which makes us feel a little bit more tired during that time. And then again, estrogen rises, so our body is less resistant to stress. And so it's a better time to not push as hard in the gym and rest a little bit more, try and sleep a little bit more, things like that. So when it comes to our bodies, like when we're pushing in the gym, that second half of the cycle, we're actually more prone to injury because of that estrogen and things like that, and to just testosterone for men. Men are more resistant to injury compared to women, things like that. So with meal planning and things like that, healthy fats are much better during that second half of the cycle as well. And that's just a blueprint. That's what I like to tell my women clients as well, is it's a blueprint, and taking that first half and second half and ovulation and then asking your body, how does my body feel during this time? How's my energy levels? And then kind of altering that compared to how you feel. And that's just a blueprint.
Margaret, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Well, actually, first, I don't have power, which is why it's super dark here. My computer might die in like 10 minutes. So if I'm gone,
Okay.
apologies to you two and to all the listeners. That's my fault. But
No, no worries. I hope your power comes back soon.
me
That
too. I was in the process of charging my computer and I was like, this is gonna be interesting. Um, I've been doing cycle syncing for several months now, and I do find that I feel so much better when I take it lighter during menstruation, and then I'm slowly building up. go a little bit harder. And then as I'm heading back into my next cycle, I start to slow it down again. But as Treva said, I also just listen to my body as well. It's a blueprint. So like there could be a day where like during ovulation where technically I kind of should be pushing it. If I'm tired, then I'm like, no, I'm going to take a lighter workout or maybe I just go for a walk or whatever. So I'm always checking in with my body anyway.
Yes.
If you're working with elite level athletes, though, like female athletes, how does it still pertain? How does it pertain? Does that mean like I would think that it would still pertain, but then how do you get a whole team on like it's like, well, you have a game, right? Like you're gonna have to push. Like what do you recommend in those situations?
Yeah, I think like elite level athletes, they're on a whole nother level. They might even be like on some support of hormones, things like that too. But with that, I notice in my own body, like if I'm able to say, let's just to give a general number, like if I'm able to lift 100 pounds for this lift normally, and the week before my cycle, I just can't. Like I'm like I legitimately cannot push 100 pounds right now. My body won't let me. So it's like probably they know their limits. If they can push, but then their body might tap out at a certain point during a certain type of their cycle, things like that. But yeah, I'm sure they push a lot harder. But then too, when you find elite athletes and competitors that go deep into diets and things like that, and they're not cycle syncing, things like that, and they're low on calories, their hormones will tank. They will go down. The progesterone, the estrogen, things like that, they will start to go lower because the body's under a lot more stress when they're training a whole lot harder when they shouldn't be. Your hormones will actually become imbalanced because of that.
Margaret, any thoughts there?
Um, I think it is tough for elite athletes because they have to compete. And if we're talking professional, it's their job. So yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing, Trevor. Like, how do you balance that with them? Because it's not just I'm working out to stay healthy, and I know that it's good for me. Like they have to do it. I do know that, and I'm sure this is for a lot of different teams and a lot of them probably participate in this. I know for women, probably it's a little more important because of everything we've talked about. But for the US women's national team, like their soccer team, I know that they have um, someone who is involved in a lot of the research about like your cycle and how you're more prone to injury at certain times of your cycle, and working with each athlete like during some of the practices they will do different things based on where they're at in their cycle. Obviously it comes to a game, a competition, you can't do that, but even the practices leading into it, they do things differently based on where they're at.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so with regards to um kind of going into like supplements, do you recommend supplements to everyone? Do you not recommend supplements and like start with the basics first? How do you typically approach that subject? Because I'm sure everyone's like, well, what should I be taking, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So supplements is something that I will, when the client comes in and they're struggling a lot, things like that, always recommend supplements and say, hey, based on your signs and symptoms, these are to get like optimal results. These are some supplements that you could take in this, and I will explain every single supplement. Like this one is for your thyroid, this one is for gut health. And there are times and places for supplements. The goal is for most supplements again, like when we're killing off bacteria for bad bacteria, we're not going to be on those forever. We're not going to be on certain thyroid supplements and things like that forever. We want to heal the body to the point where we don't need a lot of those supplements. But in the world that we do live in, and it's just because it's so toxic, the cleaners, the lotions, the water we drink is just so contaminated, toxic, and things like that. Detox is a big thing that we do, and liver is again our filter system, and it's just so bogged down with a lot of toxins, heavy metals, molds that we're exposed to. So we do a lot of detox work, but for a period of time, then the liver's cleared out of a lot of those things, and your body's optimized a lot better, and it can filter through hormones, things like that. And then, of course, the gut, we do supplements for gut health. Certain ones, like the killers, not on for a long time, but sometimes genetically, and I know this is me because I took a genetics test, and that's something else that we do. My gut has a hard time keeping the balance of good bacteria and keeping my gut lining. So it's like for longer term maintenance, again, we're just exposed to so many things that do damage our gut. like sugars, NSAIDs. Again, I try to limit a lot of those things 99% of the time, but just the world we live in, my gut doesn't hold up as well. So certain things like L-glutamine, but then again, you can look at diet and things like that that have L-glutamine in it, bone broth. So certain foods and vitamins and minerals are good to stay on long term, and just our soil and our nutrients in our food is so depleted from what it used to be hundreds of years ago. Our soil was so rich in magnesium and things like that, whereas now strawberries, spinach, they don't have the vitamins and minerals that are comparable to hundreds of years ago when you could eat a couple strawberries and get the vitamin C and vitamins that were needed for that day. Whereas now you eat a strawberry, you'd have to eat 500 strawberries to get the same amount of nutrients. It's pretty insane. They've actually tested spinach and it's supposed to have vitamin C, and there's like zero vitamin C in the spinach by the time it gets from the grocery store to your house.
Hmm.
There's like no vitamin C left. It's crazy. So it's like we have to get those now from supplements, and especially magnesium, and we don't get out in the sun as much. So vitamin D, a lot of us, I would say 99% of my clients that come in to me that don't take a vitamin D supplement are vitamin D deficiency. We just don't get out in the sun as much. So some supplements are needed longer term, but most of them we cycle or do certain aspects of them.
Okay. And how does this all relate really to, being a physical therapist and injury? We've hit on a little bit of this, but how do you typically interact, would you say, with physical therapists and people dealing with injuries? Do you recommend it? Do you not recommend it?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So both are needed, right? So like when we're talking about physical therapy and someone has an injury, I can't help them heal through the exercises and mobility and strength and agility that you guys do as physical therapists. That's going to help them heal, but then too, it goes hand in hand. If someone's diet is a bunch of fried foods and they're not getting in any fruits, vegetables, things like that, their body's more inflamed. So they're going to have a harder time healing the injury. So when it comes to diet, we are looking at more anti-inflammatory foods, antioxidants that will help their body heal faster. Peptides are really, really great. There's so many peptides coming out, especially BPC 157, that helps out with the body's ability to heal a whole lot faster. And hormones, again, one of those things, hormones preventing injury, and more men being more prone to injury in one half their cycle versus the other. So they go hand in hand in terms of diet, anti-inflammatory, allowing the body to heal, while physical therapists can do the actual strength, the agility, the mobility, the stretching, all that stuff.
So how could physical therapists do a better job of like what should they look for to refer people towards like a functional nutrition specialist?
I would say if you experience someone maybe that is struggling or having a hard time healing, if they're doing the exercise and it's just not taking, like, say, if an injury is supposed to take around 8 weeks and they're just not getting there, or if you see someone that's like a repeat client, if they are prone to injuries a lot, that can have a lot to do with hormones and estrogen. Estrogen, when a lot of people I know are like, oh my gosh, estrogen is bad, estrogen dominance bad. Estrogen is actually very, very needed. We just can't be dominant in it because of our bone health. And that's a huge thing going around now where women are actually walking around low estrogen and their bones are actually becoming more fragile because of it. So if they're repeat, they're prone to injuries, not healing as fast, things like that. I would say functional medicine is great. And then also just energy. I know they're if their energy is struggling, things like that is a good thing to refer to.
I'm just curious, do you see anything, have you seen uh nutrition potentially play a role or help with hypermobility or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, anything like that?
Hypermobility, I have not, but if it's more of like that, I'm thinking more of that autoimmune system. So if the immune system has more direct impact on like the joint mobility, that would be the one thing I would think about. But I have not heard or treated anyone in that area. But that
Yeah.
would be the first line of thought is the immune system would help that.
Okay. Margaret, your thoughts there
Well, I was gonna
before you
say,
continue, guys?
I had one of my previous jobs in Rhode Island, um, travel job. I worked at a clinic that specialized in Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. The owner did a lot of research, worked with them a lot. So we had a lot of patients coming in, and I had honestly never treated anyone with it before. Like learned about it at school for maybe, 20 minutes and then moved on. Um, but a lot of those Ehlers-Danlos patients had autoimmune disorders. And they would, coming in asking questions, they would say like, I can't eat this food. Or, I get hives, I get irritated, I'm bloated, gassy, stuff like that. Um, so, I mean, I would give them advice about, a lot of them, I referred, you should look up a functional nutritionist, either online, maybe somewhere in the area, functional doctor, someone to help get you into a functional nutritionist. Giving them a little bit of my own story. Like I've dealt with a little bit of autoimmune and working with them has helped. So yeah, I think they're related and definitely can be helped.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I've got someone kind of in mind that just yeah, has had different issues with all that stuff. I'd be curious um what her testing shows and stuff. But anyway, so Trevor, this has been super helpful. I've learned a lot. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they have questions?
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is functionalmed.treva. So you can message me, DM me on there, or I can give you guys my work email, trevaj@vitalcoaching.com. So
Perfect. And Margaret, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Either through social media, so it's O'Neill_Marge, and then or email O'Neill Margaret45 @gmail.
Perfect. Awesome. I think that this has been super beneficial. I know I've learned a lot. Any, I guess, parting words or things that either of you want to hit on before we call it?
this has been so great to talk about everything, and it's my passion, so I love talking about it.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Anything from you, Margaret?
I also love talking about it too, and I think uh, really investing in your health, like Trevor had said, you can choose when you invest in it. It's either now and can help you live a fulfilled life, or it's later in life, and I choose now.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The decisions you make right now, it's never too late to start, really, unless
Uh,
you're dead. But uh, it's just it impacts everything you do, how you feel, how you think, even your relationships, just everything. I will say you can put no price on your health. So I truly believe that too. You can either invest now or you can pay later, and you can pay with hospital bills, surgeries, unnecessary medications, all
yeah,
of those things. And you might just kick the can down the road, but eventually it will catch up to you.
yeah.
So yeah, I completely agree. Well, thank you so much for anyone listening. Please give Treva a follow. If you have any questions for either Treva or Margaret, be sure to reach out to them via email or social media. Thanks so much for listening.